Al and I have finally made it to Omaha, the largest invasion beach and where 2 divisions, rather than 1 as elsewhere, landed. There's a lot of ground to cover, so we're taking our time with this one, starting at the cliffs overlooking the western end, codenamed by the Americans Fox Green.
This is WN60.
Right, okay.
So, depending on which way you look at it, there's 15 Widerstandsnester strong points along this stretch of the coast, or 13. So, strictly speaking, 59, which is just over there, is part of it, but it doesn't really come into it. Okay. So actually, realistically, it's 13. More realistically, it's 13. And they're all, as always, they're really focused around the draws. That's where the main bits are, but you can
to someone who doesn't know what a draw is.
So a draw is,
I mean, I do.
Okay, so you've got these bluffs along here. You've got these cliffs and these bluffs, and they are points where you can exit off those bluffs. And there's 4, and they've been coded by the Allies D1, D3, E1, E3. Okay. I don't know what happened to the 2s. Never got to the bottom of that.
No, right, okay.
And the Colville draw, which is just around the corner, which leads up to the village of Colville, and this is the absolute main one, is E3. And it's really, really heavily defended. And the great thing about WN60, this one here, is that you can see the whole beach, all 5 miles of it. It's sort of gently concave. And you can see the kind of the lay of the land, how the bluffs work, and all the rest of it.
This is the biggest of the beach stretches, isn't it? That they landed on. So it's a 5-mile continuous stretch. Of open beach. So
and it's the only one where 2 divisions land.
Well, exactly. So because after all, the 3 British or the 3 British Commonwealth beaches, Duke beaches. It's a division at each. Isn't it? So in a way, this is a sort of 2. The Americans are doing 3 beaches in effect in terms of numbers, right? Because often it looks like, well, there's 3 British ones or 3 British and Canadian ones, and then 2 American ones. But actually, this is double bubble here at Omaha.
It is double bubble, and it's and that's because it's a big long beach, and you can fit 2 divisions. That's one of the big problems. You just can't fit 2 divisions at Sword Beach, for example. There's not.
Well, no, Sword's so small actually. It's effectively a brigade going ashore anyway, isn't it?
Although in a total it's about 23,000. 3rd Division is swollen with the Special Service Brigade and all the rest of it to about 23,000. But yes, and it's also reflective of the fact that this is the toughest nut on paper because you've got the bluffs you've got to overcome. You've got there's only so many exit points off the beach. There's these draws and all the rest of it. And what you've got here is the classic thing. You've got the remains of a trench here. These are sort of mortar pits and weapons pits. But what's amazing about the whole thing is it is nothing like as well defended as you might imagine it is. Probably about 85 machine guns along this whole stretch.
Really?
Which is a lot.
Look at that, though.
I know. That's it.
Bloody hell.
I know. Yeah. It's quite something, isn't it? But along here, you've got 1 88mm gun, and the rest are kind of 75mm and 50mm. Now, don't get me wrong; they can cause a lot of hassle and a lot of trouble. You've got a lot of mortars, of course. But it's not. Against them are 183 guns of over 90mm.
Exactly. We come back to that the equations here. That whatever the Germans might have. They're wildly outgunned.
Wildly outgunned. I mean, you just don't want to be a German here. And I think it's interesting because the way we tell the Omaha story is nearly always from the American perspective. And understandably so, because of Longest Day, because of, Saving Private Ryan and that opening 20 minutes and everything. But, pause the thought for the Germans defending here. I mean, most of them are, they're from the 716th Infantry Division. And augmented by elements of the 352nd, both of which are undertrained, under-equipped, mostly full of Ost battalions, these conscripted Russians, Poles, Czechs, that kind of thing. Don't want to be here, not very well motivated, officered by Germans.
Now, I'm assuming that this Widerstandsnester is well known to the Allies. So this gets proper
pasting as well. So that but the bombers come over in the morning. And because they're coming
by the way, that's the sound of a strimmer rather than bombers coming over. If you're just worrying. I mean, one of the things, the sort of funny about this, but as we arrive, here we are for Omaha Beach. We're in a fortified position here, and there's a sign about the biodiversity of the wild meadow here, which is sort of how the world has changed and spun on in the intervening time.
But that's a beautiful thing. And, as it should be.
Travelling down a track through the woods, we drop down to the edge of Fox Green to discuss, amongst other things, the Germans who would have been stationed here.
The Allies have dominated the narrative, so it's kind of fair enough. But you always kind of think, what would it have been like being a German here? And it would have been pretty grim, is the truth of the matter.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, it's terrifying, isn't it? You look out to sea and you see all this stuff.
Yeah.
That probably feels like it's got your name on it.
Yeah. Well, and all these strong points, these 13 strong points, 15, whatever they've got about between 25 and 45 men in each.
Yeah.
So, times that up, it's not a lot. It's like sort of 350 men on the crust. And you've got a sea black with warships. You've got lots of amphibious assault crafts coming towards you. You've got lots of enormous square-jawed Americans coming at you and firing at you.
Yeah.
And it's quite tough.
The thing is, and I got this at Longue-sur-Mer as well, is that you start to realise that whatever to defend here, they need 10 times what they've got.
Yeah.
If they're going to successfully repel this kind of, which isn't to say it's a foregone conclusion for the Allies and all that sort of stuff.
And it's not to say that it isn't to say that it isn't incredibly dangerous, particularly in the first instance when you're landing.
Yeah, because it's such a fragile thing landing, coming an amphibious landing.
When we get up, we'll get up to the other end at Verville. But I mean, one of the A Company 116th Infantry landing crafts, one of those Higgins boats that comes in, gets a mortar in it. Literally everyone is taken out.
Yeah.
And in moments they've lost 90 men.
Yeah.
Dead or wounded.
Yeah.
Or drowned or whatever. Yeah. So, but really that kind of that opening scene is from Saving Private Ryan is very much the kind of opening half hour.
Yeah.
And thereafter it starts, and this is the other thing about all these strong points is they're all interconnected. So once one goes, you start to kind of...
Yeah, you can peel it open, the fortifications open.
But, just imagine you're German and you're up in that and you're being shelled by all those offshore naval guns, those 183 90mm above. And that's not including quick-firing cannons and quads and all the rest of it, and 50 caliber machine guns, etc. they've got. You're in your little position. It's going to be... The noise against that concrete is going to be huge. It's going to be bits of dust going on. What are you going to do when you're on your weapon when that's coming towards you? You're going to do this, aren't you? I mean, not everyone maybe, but most people are going to be ducking down. You're going to be firing when you're not being shelled at.
Well, again, I mean, the thing is if you're in one of those, if you're in a bunker and it's being shelled, there must be an urge to run out of it. Like to get away.
Yeah.
And of course, if you do, then you're toast. But if you stay put, it's unbearable. I mean,
it's not much choice, is it?
No. None of it's good if you're German, really. Here.
Not really. And and you have to remember that you're very undertrained here. I mean, they've been spending most of their time building building defences, rather than training to be, infantrymen.
Yeah. But from up there, you can see that inflates the beach pretty well. So
it does.
So if you've got people who know what they're doing, you can cause a great deal of pain for the Americans here.
Well, yeah, and it's a bit like the sort of criticism of the British two-pounder at the start of the war. A two-pounder is absolutely fine if you're operating in a couple of hundred yards.
Yeah,
and 400 yards,
and at people.
And at people, and so those 50mm guns they've got and 75mm, they're pretty effective, to be fair. And also then there's further guns further back.
Yeah.
So beyond the initial crust. So overall in this section there's about maybe 1,500 German defenders, but only about 350 right on the crust overlooking the beach here.
But again, there's a division landing this end, but that doesn't mean a division. That means a regiment, right? Because the Americans divided into regiments rather than brigades, doesn't it?
3 battalions.
Regiment, 3 battalions, so 2 up, one back. Exactly. LOB and all that. So what you're actually talking about, and the Americans do things differently here, don't they? Where, because of the size of the Higgins boats, they divide their men up into assault parties that are rolled for this assault.
Yeah, with combat engineers.
With combat engineers and
with Bangalore torpedoes, which are these poles that you feed a charge in.
Yeah,
exactly.
But so the disadvantages the Americans have are it might be a division on the note paper that but actually it's assault boats with guys divided up into different teams than they're used to working in, perhaps.
Yep.
And obviously the chaos, the noise, the smell, the cordite, the acrid stench of cordite.
The acrid stench of cordite,
yeah.
And the fog of war.
And the fog of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fog of war is a lot of that. I mean, it must have just been absolute chaos. And one of the big, and this is where, one of the reasons the casualties are, I mean, they're not as high as feared, but the reason that they are the number they are is because of that wind.
Yeah.
It's because of the conditions. The tanks aren't able to get ashore. One of the two tank battalions, one all but two get ashore, and another one none but two get ashore because they've been let out too far. But just the whole point was to try and get the Americans in the gaps between the strong points, and then you can get across the beach, and then you can work your way up, and then you can work your way up the bluffs, and take out the guns from the strong points from the side. That's the idea. But because of the wind, because of the confusion, lots of them are landing directly opposite the most strongest, heavily defended parts of the beach, and that's why they're suffering. That's why the 116th Infantry up at the far end at Verville, it's coming right under kind of WN 71 and 72 and 73 for that matter, and that's a problem. And that's why they're getting so badly hit. But there's plenty who don't get shot up at all. Because they've landed a bit more.
Well, it's a huge area. The Germans can't defend all of it.
And no, they can't be shooting at absolutely everybody. They've only got about 85 machine guns, which is not very many.
No,
not really. I mean, it is and it isn't. But it's not to see off a.
But to come back to what we were saying earlier, it's not enough.
It's just not enough.
It's just not enough.
It's not enough.
And it, which makes me start to think, is the Atlantic Wall like a red herring for the Germans, really?
Yeah, it is really, isn't it? Because their defences are much more effective when they're flexible, when they go into the bocage and you can just go back from one field to another field.
Yeah. Well, defend properly in depth, because you're not defending in depth here.
No, because the concrete routes you to the spot.
Yeah.
So it's fine until the enemy have got past that concrete, and then it's completely redundant.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. But it's on a beautiful day like today, you look out at that beach, you just think, oh, what a lovely beach.
Oh, it's an amazing beach.
But then you sort of think, wow, but assaulting it on a early morning with the wind up and, force 4 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, should we go and have a look?
Yeah.
Let's go look at the beach, because it is a beautiful beach.